You say all the right things. You know how to turn them on. You learned what they like, how they like it, and when to deliver it. But somewhere between the moans and the motions, you're not there. Your body is present, but your mind is gone. You're disconnected, numb, floating, watching yourself from the outside. You're not making love, you're putting on a show. And the applause, it never reaches your soul. So let's have a quick look at the psychological breakdown of this. And let's get honest. A huge number of women, and more men than you think, are performing for sex. Not feeling it, not enjoying it, just acting it. Why? Because performance feels safer than vulnerability. Because somewhere along the way, you learnt that pleasing others equaled being loved. That enthusiasm equals approval. That being good in bed, being chosen. So now, when intimacy happens, you go into role-playing mode and you become the seductor, the porn star, the wild lover. You arch your back, make the right sounds. You give the show you think they want. But inside, you're miles away, detached, disconnected, and maybe even resentful because you don't know how to stop. You don't want to disappoint. You don't want to ruin the moment. You don't ask for something different because that would require saying, "This doesn't feel good to me." And that would mean revealing the truth. You don't know what pleasure really feels like anymore. Like you to imagine you've become the actor in your own bedroom. You know the lines. You hit your marks. You perform the scene like it's an opening night every night. But no one sees what happens backstage, where you're exhausted, where your real desires are locked in a dressing room, and where your boundaries are blurred with bravado. And when the curtain falls, they think the show was a success. But you're left with a hollow encore and makeup that never really comes off. Because when sex becomes a performance, you stop being the main character in your own body. So let's take a quick look at the deep trauma layer and let's dive down a bit further. For many, this performance isn't about kink or play. It's about survival. You learned early on that saying yes was safer than saying no, that being desirable gave you control, that if you gave enough, maybe, just maybe, you'd be wanted for real. So your sexual expression became a defense mechanism, a well-rehearsed mask, a role that made you feel powerful while quietly robbing you of the real connection. Every time you perform, you reinforce the lie, "I'm only lovable when I'm giving something." But giving your body isn't the same as giving yourself, and you are more than someone else's satisfaction. So let's check out some solutions as how to shift from performance to pleasure. Get out of your head and back into your body. When sex becomes a mental choreography, you disconnect. You're scanning, not sensing. You're checking off the responses, not feeling them. To take a pause, where are you right now? In your thoughts, in their expectations, or in your own body? Start small, breathe, focus on the temperature of the skin, the rhythm of breath, the sensations in you, not the reaction in them. Your pleasure doesn't live in their face, it lives in your nervous system. Find it and come home to it. Then create a pleasure map, not a performance script. Most people can name what looks hot. Very few can name what feels good. So explore with no agenda. Alone if needed. Ask, what kind of touch do I crave? Where do I feel most alive? What feels safe and sensual? Create a new map, not based on how you look, but on how you light up. That's your power. That's your compass. That's where real sex begins. Now, set a new standard. Presence over performance. What if sex didn't have to be impressive? What if it was allowed to be slow, messy, quiet, still? Presence isn't the new standard, and that means saying no to things that numb you, slowing down when you want to speed up, and stopping entirely when you realise you're acting instead of feeling. Presence invites connection. Performance demands perfection. Choose wisely. Then say exactly what you want, even if it shocks you. This is big. The biggest reason most people perform in bed. They don't speak. They're too shy. They fake pleasure. They hide discomfort. They stay silent to keep the peace. But silence is the enemy of intimacy. It builds resentment. It kills curiosity. Say it. Say, that doesn't feel good. Can we try something slower? I'm not in the mood for penetration. I want to feel close, not just sexual. If the truth ruins the moment wasn't real to begin with. Uncouple worth from sexual performance. Here's the deep root. You believe your sexual value determines your rational worth. So if you're not amazing in bed, you'll fear you'll be replaced, left, or unwanted. But real love isn't built on tricks and technique. It's built on truth. And your worth, it doesn't rise and fall with your sex drive or your flexibility or your ability to please. You don't have to entertain to be loved. You don't have to pretend to be desired. And you are allowed to be awkward, unsure, quiet. You are allowed to be a person, not a hot performance. So, in my closing comments, here's the truth no one talks about. Sex without presence isn't connection, it's a choreography. And you weren't born to be an actor in someone else's fantasy. You were born to feel, to melt, to open safely, slowly, on your own terms. You don't have to keep putting on a show. You don't have to hit the high note just to feel worthy. And you don't have to disappear inside your body to be wanted. Stop the performance, step off the stage, and finally, feel something real. Because your body isn't a theatre. It's not a product. It's not a trophy. It's a home. And a home deserves more than applause. It deserves you. Present, honest, whole.